All right, welcome to the show. This crazy weekend we had. I got Fifth Down Sports, Chris Dietz in here. Also, you know what I mean? Today is a special day. 30. I became a man today, Dietz. Became a man today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Man,
Happy birthday, brother.
thank you. But man, yes, you know what I mean? I'm Petty Rod today. Let's talk about the biggest punt return in Patriots Jets rivalry history, man. What was your thoughts at that bar, man, up there in Connecticut? What was the feel?
The thoughts were this is why I put the Pats defense on my fantasy team. And watching it felt like as an NFC East kind of guy, it felt like watching Deshaun Jackson when he used to do that to the Giants all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I thought of as I saw the guy running for a touchdown. And
but it kind of it was really crazy because I said, man, why would he get this guy named Marcus Jones from Houston? And Bill's right again. Bill is right again. You know what I mean? It's something about Bill with his scouting when it comes to athletes. Sometimes he hits. He hits. He hits. He can play a little bit of corner, but he is a specialist when it comes to return. I looked at some of his highlights at Houston. That guy was electric.
I mean, a lot of people forget that Bill Belichick started out as the special teams coach with the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Under Bill Parcells, he wasn't the defensive coordinator. He was he was just a special teams coach. And Lawrence Taylor actually when I met Lawrence Taylor a few years ago, someone asked him, what did you think about when Bill Belichick was named defensive coordinator? And Lawrence Taylor literally went into Bill Parcells' office and said, how are you going to make this little special teams guy run the defense? So Bill Belichick always has a special team. He's always special teams first.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Jets, I mean, Jets Patriots, the Jets just find a way to lose.
Mm-hmm. And to see it, Deets, to hold a man to 77 yards passing yards, that is crazy, Deets. 77 passing yards.
That
20 something.
That was not I mean how is that an NFL? How is that an NFL stat? Like, how is that an NFL stat? He was 9 of 22 for 77 yards. Like, that's if you're a Jets fan, the offensive coordinator needs to go.
Yeah. How does that happen?
Like, at some point, you either have to say, all right, we can't pass the ball, but at some point you have to say, all right, let me throw some screens. Let me throw some wide receiver. Just throw the ball to the wide receiver, like a jet sweep almost. Like, at some point you have to be like, all right, it's like for cross sports here, it's like a guy who's having shooting problem, a guy who shoots threes really well, but he's having an off night. Sometimes you just have to get to the free throw line, see the ball go through the hoop. You have to just see the ball go into the wide receiver's hands a couple times, and then you can get going. Like, the Jets just never they didn't even let Zach Wilson do anything. They were basically content with, all right, it's 3-3. Let's keep this game here. And I'm sorry, but that's not going to win in the NFL. You're not going to win a game in the NFL doing that.
Man, and to be honest with you, people are really upset, man. But we should have had 3 picks, Deets. If you look at it, man, Jonathan Jones broke on that ball excellently. You know what I mean? And he dropped one. That should have been a pick 6.
There was one I was watching where they did get a pick 6 and it got called back or something. I forget what I was doing because I was playing poker and watching the game at the same time, and whatever the Jets were doing on offense, they need to get somebody in there who knows how to run an offense.
And apparently, there's no one out there that knows how to run an offense.
Oh, what up, Snowman?
Hey,
I'm tired.
hey,
I'm exhausted. Rod has a birthday, so I say happy birthday to you, but you pissed me off this morning.
what I say? What did I say wrong though, man?
Every damn thing.
Everything.
I really do think Bill is better than Bill Walsh.
I am half tired. You told a damn lie because Bill Belichick ain't better than Bill Walsh. Hell, Bill Belichick ain't better than Bill Parcells. How do you like them apples? Matter of fact,
I don't know.
I
can't say that. Look at the wins.
Of course, you can't say that. This is your show, so you're not going to say that.
Look at the wins. Look at the wins.
Look at the what?
Look at the wins.
Look at the 3 Februaries where he
400 plus wins. I can't say he's not the best
because he came from the best. Bill Parcells it brought Belichick into the world.
I will not cuss.
And he got one of the best coaching trees of all time. So come on, get the coaching tree.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing that separates Bill Belichick from everybody else.
Chris, did you get sucked into this argument?
No. We've had this argument on Fit Down Sports many a time, and that's the one thing that I point to about Bill Belichick. When you look at these 3 coaches, because if you ask who the best NFL coach is, you're going to get these 3 guys. It's going to be Bill Walsh, Bill Belichick, and Bill Parcells. And what separates
Shula in there. I give Shula a nod.
What separates Walsh and Parcells is their tree. You look at the guys who have been under them that have gone on to be head coaches. Almost all of them have succeeded. When you go Parcells, when you go Belichick, Coughlin, Sean Payton, you just Mike Zimmer. You go down the list of guys who came out of them. You go Bill Walsh. You go Andy Reid, John Gruden,
Mike Holmgren,
Seifert. I mean, you go down the list. When you go down Bill Belichick's coaching tree, I mean, you got Charlie Weiss, Bill O'Brien,
Nick Saban,
Josh McDaniel, like these guys.
Nick Saban, don't forget Nick Saban.
Nick Saban could be thrown on that list, and I mean Nick Saban, great college coach, but look what happened when he was in Miami.
He got ran the hell out of there.
Deets, you also got to remember Ozzie Newsome. He was a scout.
Who the hell
that Cleveland team?
Who in the blue hell is Ozzie Newsome?
Ozzie Newsome built the Baltimore Ravens. Built the Baltimore Ravens. And he was brought in by Belichick.
I know.
He was brought in by Belichick when Belichick was a coach of the Cleveland Browns.
I'm picking on Rod. I know who Ozzie Newsome is.
We all know who Ozzie Newsome was a great tight end.
That he was.
He was a great player in his day.
I mean,
and you can look at how he produced these groceries. Julia Edelman to make, you know what I mean, a known guy from Kent State that made him
John
a great
Taylor is
receiver.
better.
That's really all you have. But when you look at Bill Belichick has taken unknown guys and made them great, but he's never taken a great guy and made them
better.
Made them great. I mean, you look at how many first round draft picks the Patriots have had that have absolutely just for less of the word,
All-Pro.
they've absolutely shit the bed. You look at how many of his first round picks have shit the bed.
Receivers mostly. I give y'all that. Receivers mostly.
Chad Jackson comes to mind. They took him with
terrible.
Like the 15th pick, and he was horrible. Couldn't even get on the field.
Lawrence Malone, terrible.
N'Keal Harry,
terrible. Oh, yeah, definitely terrible. But the killer was the best one. He could have been a Hall of Famer.
Who's that?
The killer could have been a Hall of Famer.
Who?
The killer.
Who?
Aaron Hernandez. He could have been. Aaron Hernandez. He could have been a Hall of Famer. He was better than Rob. He was better than Gronkowski.
Yeah, but Aaron Hernandez threw his life away.
Yeah. The killer was nice.
I mean, being from Connecticut and knowing Aaron Hernandez his entire life. Anybody who knew Aaron Hernandez when he was in high school knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Like everybody knew this was coming.
All right, I'm gonna step out of the way. Rod, if you're around, come on the show tomorrow. All right.
Snowman, what do you got tonight? What's your prediction tonight?
44-16 49ers.
Wow.
I want blood.
Wow.
As long as it's Kittle. As long as it's Kittle.
Hold up
and not McCaffrey.
Before you go, I'm hearing rumblings that
hey Deeds, I don't care who
Jimmy
it is.
G's going to the Jets.
I care because my fantasy team needs Kittle and the other guy has McCaffrey, and I'm only up 14 points, so I need Kittle. I need
That's
Kittle.
Your fault for playing fantasy football. I want blood.
Exactly.
That's your fault for playing. I shared this story on the show, and I leave y'all with this. I played fantasy football once, and I got lucky. My quarterbacks were Peyton Manning and Steve Young.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you get luck double with that. I'm 1-9 right now in fantasy.
I got lucky with that championship. But on that note, I'm gonna finish editing, and then I'm gonna go take a nap because I did not sleep.
All right, I see your show at 1:00. You doing your show at 1:00 today?
No, I'm not doing a 1:00 show until Friday because Drew has to work. But I will have a live play-by-play call tonight at 8:15 for Cardinals and 49ers. So I'll do a live chat then. But to answer Dietz's question one final time, I want blood. I don't care who gets the catches. I don't care who gets the yards. I want the Arizona Cardinals destroyed.
Oh, I appreciate you coming on, Snowman.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy birthday, Rod. Thank you, Deeds.
All right, thank you. Well, yeah, man, Deeds, man. I really feel like that, man. I really do feel that Bill Belichick would he develop J.C. Jackson into an All-Pro cornerback, undrafted out of Maryland. Nobody had hope for him. Nobody wanted him. And what he did with him and DBs and linebackers from Willie McGinnis and you go on and on, DNs, and what he did to that defense, man.
Look what he did.
You gotta say he's one of the best developers.
Look what he did with guys like you mentioned Lawyer Malloy, Ty Law. With defensive backs is where Bill Belichick's that's where his bread is buttered.
Dante Hightower was no slouch. You know what I mean? I think the ends too, man. Vince Williford, you can go all on that defense, man. He made. I know Vince Williford didn't have. He was a run stopper. He was one of the best run stopper D tackles in the league for a long time with our defense.
Vince Wilfork is never gonna get enough credit for what he did because of the position he played. A lot of people say, "Oh, he played defensive tackle." He didn't play defensive tackle. He played nose tackle, meaning he sucked up he battled 3 blockers on every play. That's why the Patriots defense. That's why Willie McGinnis, Roosevelt Colvin, Mike Vrabel, those guys were able to function because Vince Wilfork took up 3 blockers to get them.
Seymour, a lot of them.
Seymour, another good pass rusher. I mean, pass rusher and all those guys are great. I mean, the argument again, the argument of greatest, it comes down to what you prioritize, especially in the head coach in the head coach. There's no question about it. Bill's been in 10 Super Bowls. I mean, he's been in 10 Super Bowls as a head coach, and then how many more as an assistant coach? You add on 3 more with the Giants. So
yeah, man. I'm just saying this overall, man. Yeah, I know it's an era thing. People want to do what they want to do with it, man. But you got to get this man his flowers, man. He held a man to 77 passing yards. We had the. I understand, and he's winning with Matt Patricia as the OC. Like how this is not luck. People saying, "Oh, I've seen on the Twitter."
That's something that has to be addressed. I mean, they're winning games right now, but that offense is absolute trash.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's no reason for it. I mean, both we talked about the Jets offense before. The Patriots offense was equally as worse. I mean, they won the game because they returned a punt for a touchdown. They didn't win the game because they played well enough. They played absolutely horrible on offense.
And you know what I mean? That gets to the another thing. I'm not watching that game on Thursday. I'm not going to watch that Minnesota Viking game versus New England. I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm going to go with my family. Yeah, we played the Vikings this Thursday, I believe.
That's that third game. That's the third Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch that.
That's such a bad move by the NFL. It's such a bad move for the NFL. Stick with the 2 games you have, and you don't need a third game on Thanksgiving because most people are like they're hanging out with their family. They're doing their thing. They're doing whatever. But most people have already eaten turkey. And what does turkey do to you? Tryptophan. People are passed out by 7 o'clock on Thanksgiving.
Exactly. I don't know what they was doing, man, but that was a bad thing to set it up like that, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a few years ago where they went to this, and every single time this Thanksgiving this third Thanksgiving game has been the only memorable one I can think of is memorable for the worst reason of all time. Mm-hmm. The only thing we've gotten good out of it is the butt fumble. That's it. That's the only good thing. That's the only good thing I can remember from the third Thanksgiving game. Every other game,
I gotta say
I
this.
can't even remember. I can't. And they've had some good ones. They've had, Patriots. Most of the time it's been Patriots, Jets, or Steelers, Ravens. It's been some kind of rivalry. But I don't have any. I don't have any memorable moments. The only memorable moment I have is the butt fumble, and that's it.
But Deets, I gotta say this, man. This season, man, it's been really wild, man. It's like the Giant game. I did not expect that to happen like that, Deets.
Well, welcome to the NFL. I mean, you bring up the Giants. I mean, you talk about topsy-turvy, and it's funny because last week, and I'm gonna talk about this a lot on Fifth Down Sports Show. If I do a show on Wednesday night, it's still up in the air, but I'm gonna talk about this a lot because Cowboys lose to the Packers. It's the biggest thing. Oh my God, the Cowboys can't play. The Vikings beat the Bills. The Vikings are playing. They're one of the best teams in football. Well, how'd that work out? Because the Cowboys absolutely crushed the Vikings. And no one talks about Cowboys crushed the Vikings.
Y'all did though, Deets?
Nobody. Nobody talks about it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares when the Cowboys win. When they lose, it's the end of the world. But when they win a big game and everybody else loses, and man, Indianapolis, I'm so mad at Indianapolis right now. If Indianapolis had just held on, it would have been a great day yesterday. Giants and Eagles would have both lost. Cowboys get a big win, and everything bounces back, and then Cowboys get the Giants on Thanksgiving. So the Cowboys have a chance to put their stamp on that fifth spot in the playoffs and inch a little bit closer to the Eagles to see if they can get the division title. But of course, Indianapolis goes full Indianapolis at the end of the game, and I don't know. But you're right.
I gotta say this, man.
The Giants. What happened to the Giants? I mean, you can't lose to Detroit like that.
No, you definitely can't. And I didn't expect y'all to blow out Minnesota that bad, man. That was a shit show of coaching by Minnesota and a head coach.
Minnesota has gotten away. They've gotten away with this. I mean, they should have lost. They should have lost to the Bills. There was no reason why Josh Allen should have. If Josh Allen doesn't fumble the ball in the end zone, the Vikings would have lost that game. So, but they got credit for winning the game because Justin Jefferson makes one of the most ridiculous catches of all time. But they get credit for that because they ended up pulling out a win. But then you see games like what happened yesterday where they were just inept all over the field.
But Mike, man, you got rid of Mike Zimmer. The team hasn't got really better. You know what I mean? Look, the play calling has been terrible. What are you really doing? How did this team get better?
No, anybody who's a Vikings fan, anybody who's watched the Vikings over the last few years, anybody who's watched them knows what the problem is in Minnesota. Most Vikings fans already know it. Some don't want to admit it. And the problem is the front office doesn't want to admit it. But they made Mike Zimmer the scapegoat for the fact that their quarterback is not big time. Their quarterback will put up great numbers, and he's second on the list. He's probably the second biggest front runner of all in all the NFL. Right behind that other guy in Baltimore.
Why you brought that up?
When things are going great, Kirk Cousins looks amazing. When things are going great. When things go wrong, he goes in the tank.
You brought Baltimore up, man. What's going on with Greg Roman and John Harbaugh, man? There's no way the score should have been 13-3, a 10-point game. What's going on with that dumb play calling they doing?
Welcome to Greg Roman's offense, and they're just biding their right now. They're just biding their time. Like they're really they know what they have. They know what they have at quarterback, and for Ravens fans that are out there screaming to give Lamar Jackson give him a contract. He's going to get franchised until the end of time. Until the end of time, he's going to get the franchise tag. They're never going to give him a 6 year. They're never going to make him that big of a player. And people will say, "Oh, look at his MVP status. Look at this. Look at that." Yes, he does make great plays. But when things go wrong, he doesn't right the ship. He goes in the tank.
But people are going to say you gave Kyler Murray a big deal. You gave Kyler Murray a big deal. Look at Lamar's stats. What did you say?
Because Kyler Murray, we gave Kyler Murray a big deal because Arizona is built around Kyler. They built that entire team around Kyler Murray. They built that entire team is built on Kyler Murray doing Kyler Murray things. The Ravens aren't built that way. The Ravens aren't built around Lamar Jackson. And all you need to know is one, Hollywood Brown couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. You had and you had wide receiver. You've had wide receiver after wide receiver after wide receiver. J.J. Smith-Schuster went for an interview as a free agent. Went to Baltimore, interviewed with Baltimore, and they offered him a contract, and he said, "Nah, I don't want it. I can't play with this quarterback." That tells you everything you need to know. Free agents aren't looking to sign there at wide receiver because they know they're not. Now, they've got a guy in Rashad Bateman, but the only way they can get people is through the draft. Free agent wide receivers do not want to play with Lamar Jackson. They look at that offense and they go, "No, I don't want to be here." Because you're going to throw the tight end, you're going to dump the ball to the tight end, and you're going to you're not going to throw it to the wide receiver. The wide receivers are an afterthought. They can't. That's the problem with the Baltimore Ravens. Is they are incapable of pushing the ball down the field. Now, why that is? It to me, every time I watch the Ravens play, it comes back to the quarterback. Lamar Jackson just isn't. He has the arm strength to get the ball down the field. He's not accurate, and anything over 15, 20 yards, he's one of the most inaccurate passers over 15, 20 yards. And in this day and age in the NFL, defensive coordinators are realizing that. They're saying, "All right, beat us by throwing the ball deep." And he can't do it. I mean, you go back to the playoff game against the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, that's exactly what the Bills did. They packed everybody within 5 to 10 yards and said, "All right, Lamar, you're not going to run on us. You're going to have to throw the ball over our heads and complete them. And you're seeing it. He can't do it. For whatever reason, he can't do it.
Oh man, like again, man, I think it's just Greg Roman and his play calling. I don't understand why he wasn't running with them backs you had. Kendrick Drake, you're not even trying to run the ball.
No,
There's no way you should be beating.
Their offense is built on Lamar Jackson running the ball.
But these, who are you giving game balls to in week 11 for the NFL? Who are you giving game balls to?
Everybody's going to say that this is a homer. Everybody's going to accuse me of a homer pick, but how many catches did Justin Jefferson have on Sunday? Not many.
I don't know.
Why?
3?
Why? Because Diggs was. Everybody has killed Diggs all year. Oh, he's going to get beat. He gets beat by great receivers. He's not a number one. He's not a number one matchup guy. Yeah. Well, Diggs was step for step with Jackson with Justin Jefferson, and to shut him down the way he did, that's what made that game. So my first game ball has to go to Diggs. Has to go to Diggs.
What's up, Jamie G? I like that Diggs, but man, I'm gonna give 2 game balls out, man. I'm gonna give out 2. I'm sorry to say it, man. I don't like your Cowboys like that, Deez, but I'm gonna give it to Zeke and Pollard, man. It was going crazy. It was going crazy. Lightning and thunder.
Amazing what happens when the Cowboys hand the ball off. Look what happens when you just have to look at the last 2 weeks. You just have to look at the last 2 weeks. Against the Packers, they throw the ball 50 times. What happens? They lose. You look yesterday, they run the ball 35 times between the two guys. They win the game. This is simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Run the ball. Mike McCarthy, run the football and you'll be fine.
I don't understand. Like it's simple math, man. You got a good defense. Run the ball. If you can't score, get the field goal. Your defense is going to bail you out. That's why Micah Parsons is not no slouch. You got other people. Even what's that linebacker? He had a good little game. Always hurt. Y'all got Vander
Esch. They put all.
He had a good little game.
And my second game ball. I mean, you could give it to this guy every week, and there's no question in my mind he should be front runner for MVP. What Pat Mahomes did Sunday night.
Oh, I mean, that was beautiful.
That is and it was the way he did it. The way he did it, it was a ho hum. Like he just happened to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like that's like Pat Mahomes. At this point, you just expect it out of him.
It was this man art, man. People say, man, remember at the beginning of the season, people said, "Oh, he's gonna miss Tyreek Hill." Where?
Yeah. Yeah. At the beginning of the season, they were saying, "Oh, he's gonna miss Tyreek Hill," and then at the beginning of the week, Pat Mahomes is going to struggle because he has no wide receivers. Well, where did the struggle come in? The guy doesn't need. He's the exact opposite of what we were just talking about with Lamar Jackson. Doesn't matter who you slot in at wide receiver. for Pat Mahomes, he's going to find a way to get them the ball.
And I gotta say, there's two deets. I'm giving a game ball to the rookie, Marcus Jones. I'm giving him a game ball. Also, you gotta put some respect on Matthew Judon's name, man. You gotta put respect on this man's name. You don't have 13 and a half sacks in 11 games by accident.
And again, you have a guy. I mean, going to beat a dead horse. Jets offense. How do you not have a tight end, a running back, something? How do you not chip on Judon on every play? How you saw what happened? They were letting their left tackle. They were leaving him out to dry.
You can't guard him one-on-one.
Go one-on-one with the best sack producer this season. Go. They just left their left tackle. They just left him out to dry, and he ate him up all day long.
How you go one? You can't go one-on-one with him, man.
You can't be doing that. You have to put a tight end over on that side. You have to chip him with the running back. Like,
even Wise had a good little game. Wise Jr. He got him a sack, man. Just overall, man, I think you got to put Matthew Judon at least in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. 13 and a half sacks. You got to at least give him a nod. He might not win it, but you can give him a nod.
He's close. He's close. He's close. But there's no question about it. Defensive MVP is Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons showed why he's. What he did to Kirk Cousins was absolutely. He was in the backfield all day long.
Hey, DC, you know what I wish he could train with, though, man? Another great defensive player for y'all, DeMarcus Ware, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does a lot of speed rush. Michael does a lot of speed rush, but I see he lack the hand, you know what I mean? The hand fighting that for it.
Well, he doesn't have the size to hand fight with an offensive tackle. That's never going to be his game. I mean, it definitely not now. Maybe in a few years when he bulks up and gets into a lot of strength and conditioning and does all that. But right now they're just telling him, just go. Mm-hmm. And right now Micah Parsons is one of those guys, you just don't mess with him. You go out and do what you do. Don't do anything else. I mean, to go back to keep going back to this guy, but again, we talk about all the time. You know, I know you and Snowman go back and forth about greatest NFL player of all time. Mm-hmm. Neither of the guys that you and Snowman mentioned are named Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor is the greatest NFL player I've ever seen play. Lawrence Taylor was that guy who you didn't coach him. You just said go. Like do what you do, and whatever you do is going to be good enough for us.
You know that is nobody ever going to put the greatest player as a defensive player, man. Deets, you already know that.
I don't care. I don't care what anybody. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if anybody says, "Oh, it's not." Lawrence Taylor made 3. He changed not 1, not 2. He changed 3 positions in the National Football League. He changed outside linebacker, defensive end, and left. He made the left tackle the most important position on the field.
But you know, people are going to say, you know who my second is? And he's at Jackson State as a head coach.
Deion Sanders, man.
You would never see somebody could take risks like that and jump routes like that. You know, people are going to say Diggs kind of remind me. He don't remind me as no Deion Sanders.
No. It's not even close. Deion Sanders had seasons. He had full seasons where he got single-digit passes thrown his way. I mean, single-digit, not like Diggs might have single-digit games. He had a single-digit season. There were games where Dion shut down half the field. And Dion's another guy. Dion didn't even go in the defensive huddle. He just stood on the side. He just stood on the side of the field that he was on and was like, "Whoever comes this way, I got him." And guys wouldn't even look that way.
And look at the receivers he went against, Deets. His error. Look at the receivers he went against.
The only one who had the stones to throw at him was Brett Favre. And what is Brett Favre known for? Oh, the most interceptions in NFL history. He was the only one who I don't know if it was bravado or if it was just Brett Favre's mental capacity. But nobody else threw. They didn't even throw the ball his way. They wouldn't even look to his side of the field. That's how good Deion Sanders was. He shut down half the field.
But man, let's go to some college football, man. After this Hayden Hooker injury, I know that takes him out of the Heisman case, man. What do you think? You think he still gets invited to?
No, he's gone. I mean,
I think Tennessee season's over with now.
Tennessee's still going to get. They're still. I mean, y'all better watch out. Vanderbilt's on a winning streak.
Oh my God! Can we talk about that, man? What's going on?
Vanderbilt beats Kentucky and Florida in the last 2 weeks. They hadn't won a game. They hadn't won an SEC game in 27 years.
Godly.
Well, guess what? They snapped that, and now they haven't lost. But I expect that to be different when they play the Volunteers coming up.
But these yes, we gotta put some respect on TCU. I know it was an ugly win, but you know what I mean. They keep on winning. All they do is win.
I'm telling you right now, the football committee had the worst 5 minutes of their life when they were sitting back. They were sitting in their lounges, and we know how this committee works. They were sitting in their lounges, smoking their cigars, high-fiving everybody. All right, TCU is out of the way. Michigan's going down. We don't have to deal with any of this talk this week. We can do whatever we want. We can put Ohio State in. We can put USC in. We can put Tennessee in because obviously Tennessee was way after all this happened. Then all of a sudden, TCU runs the kicker out there, kicks a game-winning field goal, and then 5 minutes later, Michigan kicks a game-winning field goal over Illinois, and all their dreams went to hell because now they have to deal with a Michigan and TCU problem.
And man, Michigan, who had that game being that close, Deets?
You want to tell me Blake Corum's not the most valuable player in all of college football?
Even in an ugly win, he got 100 yards.
He injured his leg in the second quarter, and he still had 100 yards. And you see what that offense was without. And I don't know how. I mean, I know he came back and played a drive in the third quarter, and then was never seen again. So I don't know how bad that injury. I don't know how bad that injury is. But what I'm going to tell Jim Harbaugh right now is, if you don't have Blake Corum and you don't have Edwards to run the football, if you don't have either of those two guys to run the football, you can't run JJ McCarthy out there. Against Ohio State, you're going to need to go to the back. You're going to need to go to the backup quarterback, who was your starting quarterback last year. JJ McCarthy cannot throw. He cannot throw the ball down the field.
No, man.
And if you think you're going to go in with third and fourth string running backs and do what you do something to Ohio State, that's not going to happen. You need to have somebody who can threaten them down the field. And it's not like Michigan doesn't have wide receivers. Cornelius Johnson is a great wide receiver, big target. Ronnie Bell has been Ronnie Bell's arc as a wide receiver is one of the most phenomenal things in all of college football. Ronnie Bell should be celebrated. Ronnie Bell, as a freshman, dropped the pass in the end zone that would have beaten Penn State. It was wide open, dropped it as a freshman, and you can talk to him. He's never forgotten that. And he's gotten better and better and better each year. And then, of course, he has the injury last year, misses the entire season. And this year he's coming back, and he's what makes that offense go when it's not Blake Corum. So Ronnie Bell is one of the special guys in college football. But if you can't throw the ball, if those running backs aren't there, Jim Harbaugh needs to make a switch at quarterback, and he needs to have a Steve Spurrier-like trigger at quarterback to where, all right, this isn't working. We're going to the backup right now. Because they can't let that game get out of hand.
Oh no, they definitely can't. Definitely can't. If I'm John Harbaugh, I'm talking like I'm talking like Varsity Blues. Hey Kendall, you gonna shoot that up, right? I'm just being real. You gonna shoot that up, right? We need you.
Exactly. Because they need Blake Corum. They need Blake Corum to be at 100%. I mean, again, the injury looked bad. He came back. He was on the bike, and then he was only out there for one drive and then left. So, how bad that injury is, I don't know. I'm not a medical professional. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know what was going on. But anything could tell me that from what I saw, everything tells me that injury is worse than we think it is.
What do you think, like a thigh injury, or?
I think it's his knee. I think it's a knee bruise. He took a helmet right to the knee, and that's at best. At best, it's a bruise. At best, it's a bruised knee. At worst, it's an ACL. And I as somebody who's had ACL surgery, I really hope it's not. It could be. From what it looks like to me, it looks like an MCL, which would be the best. Which would be the best of the worst cases for Blake Corum, because MCL you can at least recover from that. ACL, you have to have surgery. So, but that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like a bruised knee at best. An MCL. It looked like an MCL to me. Because if it was an ACL, he wouldn't have been walking. He wouldn't have been back on the bike.
I have a question though for you, Deets, man. Let's go through some scores, man. Louisiana versus Lafayette, the Cajuns versus Florida State, man. Do you think Mike Norvell keeps his job?
Yeah. There's no question about it. He's got Florida State ranked.
Mm-hmm. You think that's all it took right there? Just a simple ranking.
For how bad Florida State has been for the last 5, 6, ever since
Jimbo left.
basically since Jameis Winston was stealing crab legs. For how bad Florida State has been, yeah. I mean, and Norvell's only in his second year, and he's got guys coming in. He's got guys coming in the transfer portal. He's doing it. He's doing it the way they have to do it because Florida State's not getting the recruits anymore. So they've got to dominate the transfer portal, and he's done that. So absolutely, I think Norvell, and not to mention, I mean, you saw what happened. You saw what happened. They took care of business in Miami.
I don't think they beat the Gators though. I don't think I got them beating the. I don't think I got them beating the Gators. Why are you doing, sir? You're unmuted.
Did you see? We just talked about this. Did you see the Gators play on Saturday?
Nah, man. I didn't even catch it. Was it bad?
They lost to Vanderbilt.
They lost to Vanderbilt?
Yes. The Gators lost to Vanderbilt on Saturday.
Yeah, they got a chance.
They're part of this 2-0. That's why I say when you said, oh, they don't have a chance. No, this Gators team has thrown the towel in. This Gators team is done.
Man, what about Alabama, man? They should have blew out Austin P, man, the FCS. Division 1 team.
They didn't. I thought they held them to a shutout.
34-0, but you should have more points than that, Deets. You're Alabama.
They are. And they did what they had to do. They were up 21-0 in the first quarter, and then they did what Alabama does in these games. They took their foot off the gas and just said, "Let's get out of Dodge." They said, "Let's get out of Dodge and not get injured, and let's go play all they have left is the Iron Bowl." So they said, "Let's get ready for the Iron Bowl." That's it. That's all that game was. That game was. I mean, you could if Alabama wanted, they could have put 55. They could have dropped the 55 on them. They could have dropped that easy on them, but they said, "Nope. Let's not get our guys hurt. Let's get out of Dodge and let's shut it down."
Man, but the Kansas State versus West Virginia, man, that was a good game, Deets.
That was a great game, and now Kansas State is in the driver's seat to meet TCU again. Meet up with TCU again, and let's see what happens when Kansas State doesn't lose both their quarterbacks. Because if we go back to the first time TCU met Kansas State was rolling. Adrian Martinez gets hurt. Then they put Will Howard in. Kansas State's still rolling. Will Howard gets hurt. So they were on their third string quarterback when TCU had their comeback. So I would love to see Kansas State again in Kansas State TCU again in the Big 12 title game.
You know what I mean? We're going to go to some other notable games. Oregon State versus Arizona State, 31-7. I didn't really catch it. Did you catch that game, Deets?
I did. I caught the highlights. I was not watching that game.
Let's go on. Boston College versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame shut them out. Was you expecting a shutout like that, a pure shutout?
No, not expecting at all. And Boston College is a disaster. That's a move. I'll tell you right now. They're in trouble. That head coach is in trouble.
I don't know what the last time I watched the Boston College game, Matt Ryan was there.
That's a long time ago. I mean, they have a guy in Phil Jerkovic who is NFL caliber quarterback, and they look inept on offense. That's not Boston College playing. That's the coaching staff. They're in trouble.
Man, what did you also? Let's move along. Texas versus Kansas. Texas put 55 points on them to Kansas 14.
Yep.
I got out of hand real quick.
Kansas was riding high. Remember way back when it was undefeated Kansas against undefeated TCU?
Mm-hmm.
Remember those days like a month ago?
Yeah.
Well, Kansas came back. Kansas came back for. They must have come back from the land of Oz because they came back to being Kansas again.
Man, I only can imagine when Arch goes there next year, what kind of recruits going there, what kind of receivers going there to Texas.
And here's you mentioned TCU earlier,
mm-hmm.
and this is something that the committee won't pay attention to because they only look at the scoreboards of games. Bijan Robinson ran for 250 yards against Kansas this week.
Mm-hmm.
He had a grand total of 29 yards against TCU. Just let that sink into how good TCU is. TCU shut down one of the best running backs in the country.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. This Penn State versus Rutgers game, I didn't expect it to be that bad. It's 55-10.
If you didn't expect it to be that bad, what Rutgers team have you been watching? Rutgers is terrible.
Who had they had a close game with at the beginning of the season? I forgot who. What game was that?
It had to be like week 2 or 3.
They had a good game. I was watching.
They had a good game. That's how bad Rutgers is. They had a good game. They kept it close.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's been rough. Never mind.
Their best game of the season. They kept it close.
It's been kind of rough.
That's where Rutgers football is at. But Greg Schiano is supposed to be the savior there, so we'll see what happens.
Miami, the U versus Clemson. Clemson's get it done 40-10. I didn't watch that game either. Did you watch that?
These last 3 weeks for Miami have been disastrous. They get stomped. They get curb stomped by their rival Florida State in their own home. Then they go to Death Valley and Clemson puts up 49 on them. I mean, Miami get back. Miami used to be defined by defense. Like, I get it, their offense is garbage, but you used to be defined by having defense, by having defensive backs. Some of the best defensive backs of all time have gone through Miami. Where is that now?
Man, Georgia barely, beats Kentucky by 10. Man, it was a really interesting game. What's your thoughts about Georgia versus Kentucky this weekend, man?
Georgia almost got caught. They almost got caught looking ahead, and then they realized, wait, we're Georgia. They realized, wait, we're Georgia. Let's start playing like it, and then they picked it up, and like same thing as Alabama. They were like, let's get out of Dodge without getting any of these guys hurt.
Another game was pretty good too in the beginning of the game. Ohio State versus Maryland, man. That was a great game, man.
Ohio State. You're gonna look at that. I guarantee you they're gonna use this as their performance of Oh, look at what the score ended up. The score at the end of that game does not tell you the story of how that game went.
Yeah.
Maryland had a chance. Maryland had a chance to take the lead in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's how close that game was.
And we're gonna move along from that. Cincy versus Temple. Cincy won 23-3. Want to go past that?
Cincy had one of the best weekends that they could have asked for. Not only did they beat Temple, but UCF loses to Navy.
Yeah. Man, what's going on? What's going on with UNC, man, with Mac Brown, man? What's going on with him?
They did North Carolina. They did North Carolina things. They're up 21 points, up 21 in the second half, and then they didn't score the rest of the game.
Lose to Georgia Tech.
It
is. Then the slaughter of South Carolina, what they did to my Volunteers, man. This is like a college basketball game score right here.
What that was Spencer Rattler finally played like Spencer Rattler. We haven't seen that Spencer Rattler in 3 years, and he showed why last year coming in he was the preseason Heisman Trophy, preseason All-American. He finally showed that Spencer Rattler, and it showed Saturday night.
What's up, Zay? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. In this car driving, man.
Yeah, we just talking some college football, man.
Okay. Yeah, I'm listening in, man. I'm definitely in.
Man, what was your thoughts, man? Did you catch the Arkansas and Ole Miss game, man? What's your thoughts on that game?
I didn't get a chance to catch that one. I definitely didn't get a chance to watch that one.
That was Lane Kiffin being Lane Kiffin. And right. their season's over. They have nothing to play for, and they didn't show up.
You know, my favorite game of the week was definitely that USC versus UCLA, man. Did y'all catch that? That was a great game, man.
I want to know. I want to ask the world, and I want somebody to give me. How does Alex Grinch keep getting jobs? Defensive coordinator, if you want to call him that, at USC. This guy is the luckiest guy in the history of the world.
Really?
Because his defenses are absolute horrible. He just happens to be linked up with offensive geniuses. He started his career with Mike Leach in Washington State, and again, nobody cared about defense. He goes on to Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley, and then he follows Lincoln Riley to USC. They can't stop a nosebleed.
Maybe asking Madden from heaven for the plays.
Right.
Right. I don't understand. I don't understand this guy. He doesn't coach. He's a defensive coordinator that doesn't call defense. And he gets celebrated. He gets celebrated. Oh, his team won. Your team won. What was the score on that game?
What?
48-45.
5, yeah.
You gave up 45. You gave up 45 points. Your defense I'm not celebrating your defense when you give up 45.
Right. The win by 3 points at that.
Hey, you gave up 200 on the ground.
You gave up 45 and you intercepted the quarterback 3 times.
Man, that's crazy. Man, listen. Games was close. It's kind of sketchy.
I really want to know for this week's Deeks how much Vegas won, because nobody really covered.
None
of these games really covered. If you picked the over this week, you lost.
Right. Parlay.
None of,
That was yeah. Crazy.
none of the big time games covered. The only big time team that hit their mark was TCU because they were.
I played a parlay ticket. I think they had them winning by like 10 points. So yeah, they was the lottery pick.
And I sat in the line so long, Deets. You know what I mean? I work in Maryland, so I sat in the line for at least an hour, Deets. People, play in-game bets. They wait for the screen to go up, hit it. Oh man, well, I got Baylor winning. I said, man, you want to bet on that right now? I sit here the whole day. I don't want to see this Baylor team beat TCU.
Yeah.
That game, the end of that game was absolutely insane.
So I got to be real though. So like, what do y'all think about? I'm a Clemson fan now, so I can't lie with DJ in his second year starting for Clemson now. You can't lie, haven't he been a big exposure? Like, cause he been kind of suspect in all his games he done played, man. Like just by watching his performance, like he is not an elite quarterback at all.
Nah, I think he's more of an athlete than quarterback.
Go back to the Syracuse game where they had to bench him in the fourth quarter in order to win that game.
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
They had to bench their starting quarterback in order to get a win.
Yes.
That tells you all you need to know about DJ.
Yeah. DJ a big exposure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still gonna say this, man. Deshaun Watson is still the greatest Clemson quarterback y'all ever had.
Always.
And
Yes.
I hear so much Trevor Lawrence stratosphere talk. Hey, Dees, you look at me crazy. Well, I see it on the Twitter. They made Trevor Lawrence like Deshaun Watson had never been there at Clemson. I'm just gonna be real about it.
I don't know, because Trevor Lawrence was the go-to now. You got to be real that Trevor Lawrence came through in big games, man, and I like his performance at all aspects. Because you can be honest now, under pressure now, Trevor Lawrence will take that ball and scramble with it, man, and he going to take a hit after it now. So I done seen him play in big games, even just by going to the games, man. Like, he done performed now. Like, I can't lie to him, but can't nobody match Deshaun Watson.
You know how much money I lost, Deets, on that game when Deshaun Watson went off? You know how much money I lost?
Well, that's your problem. I told everybody from the beginning. From the beginning of that season, I said, all right, ask Snowman at the beginning of the season, I said, we're going to see Clemson, Alabama again. Everybody was like, no, they're going to get beat by Ohio State. And then go out, Deshaun Watson just absolutely goes nuts.
Oh, man. High performance. I think he had like 500-something yards. 500 passing yards. It was crazy. Oh, man. He went off.
Oh, Deshaun Watson was a great quarterback at Clemson. But Trevor Lawrence was Trevor Lawrence brought Clemson to a different level.
Yes. That part.
Deshaun Watson got them to the table, and then Trevor Lawrence set the table because he took them from being great to being a dynamic team.
But absolutely.
Because before that, man, it was terrible. Which y'all, Taj Boyd and
Kelly.
Oh my God.
Chad. Now I ain't gonna do Chad Bryce like that, but Chad Bryce was nice too. Now
y'all were just known for receivers and running backs. Y'all had a run with running backs was crazy.
Oh yeah, our running back was dominating.
And corners. Y'all had some corners back in the day too. Y'all had some good little corners back in the day.
Clemson was always running back. CJ Spiller. You got so many running backs back in the day.
Yeah. We had a lot of running backs. A lot of running backs.
Man, and these just why are you here, man? Did you see all these upsets from these college basketball teams? You know what I mean, female and men from these HBCUs and these small FCS schools.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Definitely.
That is crazy.
Wait. College basketball exists. I don't even care. And college basketball is an absolute joke. It should not be. They should not start the season until mid-December. Stop with these. This stupid Champions Classic, which is a freaking joke. Where we get the same teams every year playing in Madison Square Garden. How about you have a classic where you actually invite actual champions, not teams that won 20 years ago. Get teams like Villanova in there that have won recently. North Carolina, who's won recently. How about you invite the UConn Huskies, who have won more than Duke in the last 20 years?
Yep. I'm Kentucky. I'm a Kentucky fan. So yeah, people in no conversation. Yeah, you definitely got to bring them in the conversation.
But man, it was good seeing Grambling beat that school. I forgot who they beat. It was a couple of FCS schools was just dominating. You know what I mean? Them big boys. You know what I mean? In college basketball, it was good to see though.
But Rod, this is what I've been telling you about the what college football is going to become.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be that, man.
Nobody cares. In March, you think it's gonna matter? Do you think it's gonna matter that these big schools lost to a small school? No, it's not gonna make a difference. And these small schools that won, if they don't win their conference tournament, guess what? You're not going to the tournament. So who cares?
Right. Yeah, it all matters. Yeah, it all matters when it comes down to March Madness. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But man, it's still good to see, man. I like seeing these small school beat on these big schools. I love it. Like an Appalachian State, Marshall. I like that stuff, Deets. It's a feel good story, like the Rookie of the Year. I love that movie. It's a good feeling movie. You know what I mean? It's great to see though, man. Because I think it's going to get that way for FCS. And it's a couple players away.
And you mentioned girls basketball. Show me where that's happened at UConn. We've had so many of these programs that have come out and said, "Oh, this is the best program here. This is the best program there." Mm-hmm. Show me where that's happened to UConn in the last in Gino Auriemma's run. They don't lose to these small schools. That doesn't happen in UConn.
But you know what I miss, man? God rest his soul, man. Pat Summitt at UT. Her reign in college women's basketball.
That was one of the best rivalry. That's one of the best college rivalries of all time. UConn, Tennessee women's basketball. When it was Gino versus Pat Summitt, that was must see TV for a women's basketball game. And that doesn't exist anymore.
What y'all think about the South Carolina girls? What y'all think about Dawn Staley?
Dawn Staley. As long as she sticks to coaching basketball, like just coach basketball. Don't talk about anything else because that's where she gets into trouble. But on the basketball court, she's one of the smartest people, and she was one of the smartest players that we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And now she's turning that into coaching. She's an absolutely great coach. Just stay out of Brittany Griner stuff. Stay away from the political realm. Just stick to basketball. Don't stay. Stick to basketball. You're great at it.
You think they overrated?
Nah, they'll be they reload. They'll be there in the Final Four again.
Hey, but
I can believe it.
Hey, but you know what? I'm gonna say this, man. You know I'm big on FCS. Deets. I love FCS. You know what I mean. But don't be surprised if Mika Reed goes back into that March Madness for women with that Jackson State team. Look at how close that LSU game was last year. there was only a few pieces away, Deets, to seal that up, and that'd been the Cinderella story of the year.
Think about that. And I know we're always going to get told, oh, it comes back. What does that come back to? That comes back to Deion Sanders. That comes back to you look at how good you look at college football. Not only are they bringing college football athletes in, they're bringing other athletes that want to go down there and play. They're bringing women in there. They're bringing men's basketball players in. That's what happens when you get a big time guy like Deion down there. People want to be around him. People from other sports want to be around him.
Hey Zay, I gotta ask you this question though, man, because you were around there in South Carolina. What happened to South Carolina State, man? What happened to that school, Buddy Pugh, and that team, man?
What you talking about? Your football, basketball,
football.
I don't know. I honestly don't know, because I just feel like, what they won last year, man. It was just a trend. That was just a trend then. But I mean, it's just back to the original now. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I know it's not my HBCU because I graduated from Morris College, but
okay.
I don't know. They went back to the original. South Carolina State.
What's happened with South Carolina State is they have the best wide receiver in the country.
Shaq Davis, no, of course.
They just became the Shaq Davis show, and it was just throw him the ball every play, and everybody knew it, and they didn't even try to hide it, and you can't do that. You can't be one. You can't just be all right. We're going to throw the ball to Shaq Davis every play, and defensive coaches were like, well, let's just put two guys on him, and they can't do anything else.
And you said it right. You know what I mean? I hate to say this though, Deets, but you look at Travis Hunter over the weekend. You know what he kind of remind me of, man? He kind of remind me of Charles Woodson, but for Jackson State. You know how Charles Woodson was at Michigan.
Oh,
this guy is a freak.
Boy.
This boy is a freak.
And again, look at his coach. The guy he's got the coach that can have him play both ways.
I'm saying this, man. If these boosters don't get this man out of here, out of FCS, it's gonna get bad. They're gonna be the Patriots of SWAC. You hear me? They're gonna be the Patriots of the SWAC and keep on winning these titles every year. I don't, because the quarterback play is really in that division suspect. You know, man, I'm gonna be real about it. The quarterback play in the SWAC is terrible. They're not like the North Dakota States and the Washingtons. You know what I mean? Eastern Washingtons. Till they get that up, nobody's gonna be able to compete with Deion.
When does his son graduate this year or next year?
No, Shador is only a sophomore.
So Deion's not going anywhere as long as his son is there.
He's a sophomore. His other son, I think he's a sophomore, about to be a junior next year. Shallow. And I don't think he's leaving till Travis Hunter decides. You know what I mean? He's gonna at least let Travis Hunter graduate before he leaves. I think that boy is going to stay 3 years. Because Travis Hunter is a freak.
He's not going anywhere. And you mentioned these boosters. You really think Deion's hurting for money?
Oh no.
Deion ain't coaching because he's not coaching because he can make money. That's not Deion's not hurting in that regard. He's coaching at Jackson State because he wants to coach at Jackson State.
Yeah, he papered up. Of course, he papered up. He ain't worried about no money.
But I'm really interested to see how this game against North Carolina Central is going to happen, because they're gonna sweep whoever goes in that SWAC championship. So I want to see how that game goes against North Carolina Central versus Jackson State. I'm gonna watch it, Deets. You know I like FCS.
I've told, how many times have I told you? I really just want Deion to tell the SWAC, tell the HBC, screw you. We're not going to the Celebration Bowl. We're going to win a championship.
I don't think they Deets, you know they ain't gonna do that, Deets.
I know they ain't gonna. I know they're not gonna do it. But how much would How much would you love to see that?
It would definitely be awesome. But Zay, do you do any podcasting, man? If so, man, let us know about your podcast. You do any podcasts, Zay?
Yeah, so I actually just started up a podcast 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Incredible Combo Podcast.
Mm-hmm. What's
So
that about?
so our podcast, man, we do a little bit of trend of everything, man. So we talk about politicians, sports, relationships. So we talk about pretty much everything from like a life perspective, man. So like usually when I bring any guests on and stuff like that, man, I have like I use Anchor. So I use Anchor and I use another little podcast app where I have like the topics already in order and in place for like dates to come and stuff like that, man. And we just have fun on the podcast, man. We talk about some good stuff, man.
Okay, man.
Yeah, so we had my shows are usually on Sundays at 6 p.m. man. Trying to find some other additional days where I can try to step out that Sunday bracket and try to do something on a weekday, man. But I know people work a lot, so yeah, have fun on that, man.
What night do you? What nights or what times do you do that at?
He said 6 p.m. on Sunday.
On Sundays, every Sunday.
Oh, 6 p.m. on Sundays.
On Sundays,
All right.
yeah, every Sunday.
Well, if you ever need anybody, especially on Sunday, because I'm usually around Sundays. If you ever need anybody, get my information from Rod, and I'd love to jump on something like that with you.
Man, yeah, definitely. We had a good show yesterday. I think last week I know we had one on starting a business and entrepreneurship. And last night we had a good episode. It's called Letting Go, Finding a Way in Life to Recharge.
Mm-hmm.
So like we had a great conversation about that last night and stuff like that. So I actually did it live on Spotify. So I do my shows live on Spotify. So it streamed from Spotify live until we get off and stuff like that. So
wow.
Yeah, definitely, man.
So what made you get into wanting to do a podcast, man?
So I was thinking about it a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, actually, man. And I was just like, man, I want to try to find something that people can relate to. And I was just like, man, maybe, if I decide to start a podcast, how would I do it? So, like the recent months that just passed and stuff like that, I was like, man, hey, I'm gonna start up a podcast. And I just want to, chat with people, across the board, the upstate or all over, man. Just chat with folks, man, and we chat about different stuff that goes on, in life now that sometimes people might not think about, or like people don't even like consider no more. Because there's a lot of stuff that goes on just in society by itself that changes every day that we be missing. So, man, I was just like, man, I want to podcast about stuff that's going on across the world and stuff like that, man. So yeah.
And I got another question for you, man. How was it attending Morris Brown?
I went to Morris College.
Morris College. How was that?
Oh man, a great experience, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. Just knowing it's just a predominant HBCU school, man. I thought that it wasn't gonna be my fit. I can be honest with y'all. Just because it was just all black and it wasn't a multicultural type of settings for me that I wanted to be around. But just the historical stuff that I learned about Morris College, man, it was unbelievable, man. And then I built relationships, man, with my colleagues now. Where it's crazy. Like the relationship for now is like it's really dope. So like just being on Morris College campus, man, I stayed 5 years because I took up extra electives and stuff with my major being in criminal justice. So just learning how to network. And I started networking late. That was crazy, y'all. I networked late. So when I got my junior year, that's when I really figured out this whole networking thing, man. And then when I figured out like what it can do for me, man, I just took off with it from there. So like really, I applaud Morris College for everything they done, to be honest with you.
But you know what I mean. I remember, you know what I mean, as a kid, you see shows like Different World, and you know what I mean, talking about, you know what I mean, make believe HBCU, but you know what I mean. But this morning wear HBCU gear, and I think it's important to attend that, man, for you know what I mean, our kids and stuff, man. I think it's important to get
Right.
that experience. You know what I mean. You can get your masters anywhere else, but get that experience because you know what I mean. Only the biggest school we have right here, where I live in Delaware right now. We got Dell State, we got Morgan down the street, we got Howard. You know what I mean. Hampton. It's so many. You know what I mean. Norfolk State. You know what I mean. It's so many HBCUs. Lincoln.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think that's I want my son to experience that, man.
Right.
And my
And
other kids experience that HBCU feel.
yeah, this is good, man. It's good to know about that, man, because you got so many like school brands, man. You got HBCUs, PWIs, Ivy Leagues, man. It's so many schools around, man. Like I got a homeboy of mine right now. He go to Howard University, and he taking I think it's public administration or something like that. He want to open up his own law firm.
Oh,
So
that's
I told him, man, I said, man, that's really dope, man. I know you're gonna be in school for a little while, but I know it's gonna be for a good outcome.
all right. I appreciate everybody coming on. But Zay, let the people know where they can find you in all your main social medias, man.
So yeah, anybody that's even if it's not podcast, man. If you want to find me, I'm on Facebook, Quindarius Smith. If anybody else want to find me, like on Instagram, my name is pretty much the same on there. I need to change my name on my Instagram. It's King Youngster _5. But I still got my mainstream name on there, Quindarius Smith, and then I got a social media on Snapchat as well, Quindarius Smith, and then I got TikTok.
And what's if you make your podcast so we can look it up?
So if you want any information on my podcast, it'll be the Incredible Combo Podcast. I have a Facebook page for it, but I'm still in the process of trying to get my page set up. But definitely, if they just look it up and stuff like that, I don't have like a website for it, but I always stream it again on Spotify if they want to get on there. Stream it on there as well, and Anchor as well. So I'm pretty much all over.
Hey, Deets, what do you have coming up this week?
This week, like I said, it's really with Thanksgiving. With Thanksgiving, it really puts everything in a bind because obviously Thursday night we're obviously not doing anything on Thanksgiving. But depending on whether or not I get home, I got to travel. I got to travel home. If I get home in time, I'll probably do a show Wednesday night. And like. But man, I can't wait for tomorrow. I can't wait for tomorrow night, dude. I want to see what this committee's going to do with these games and see. And the interesting thing will be where do they slot USC after what happened this weekend?
Man, that definitely is going to be interesting to see, man. But you know they're going to do some backdooring and some buddy business. Buddy business. There's always a deal underneath the table.
I mean, where do you put USC was the biggest winner this weekend because everybody else in front of them fell, and they know all right. They know all they need is one domino to fall, and USC will be back in the running, which is absolutely insane.
And how can they get in you know me on a regular? Deets is a regular on the show. How can they get in touch with you and hit you up, Deets?
Well, so we're on YouTube. We got our YouTube channel, Fit Down Sports Show. So check us out. Check us out there. Like and subscribe. And anytime we put up a show, you'll get the alert. So check that out. We also have a page on Spotify which has all our stuff. Blog Talk Radio has our radio version of the program. And Facebook, we have Facebook Live. We're all over everything. So any way to get in touch with us, and any social media account, get Fit Down Sports Show is us, and we take all comers, man. We don't care. I don't care what you're a fan of, as long as you're a fan of your team. We'll talk every day. I don't care. We'll talk. We've talked HBC. You've been on. We've talked HBCU football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thinking about doing a post game Deets. I'm thinking about doing a post games after the 1 o'clock games. That's something I'm thinking about doing.
Saturdays, I'm in. I'm always around. I gotta tell you, YouTube is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You can pirate any college football game. I have 3 screens going. I'm watching every single game. Every single game. Any game you want, you can find it. It is fantastic.
But you can't pirate for NFL though.
The NFL you can't. The NFL they got that on lockdown.
That or a big fight or anything like that. But anyway,
that's why college football Saturdays is amazing. I'm literally watching 3 screens, 3 games from 12 noon until 3 a.m.
That's crazy.
And I can watch any stream I get, and it's fantastic. So I'm telling you guys, college football is amazing right now.
Always.
Well, I appreciate y'all coming on Midday Sports with Rod and the Lens Crew. I appreciate you, Zay, coming on, man. Hopefully you can come on again, and I can come on your stuff, man. We can set something up. I'm all about networking, man. At the end of the day, that's what the world is about, man. They was doing this in the beginning of the time, networking. So,
yeah, absolutely, man. I definitely appreciate that, man.
Definitely, Zay. Good luck with your podcast, and it sounds like something. It's as long as you're passionate about what you're talking about, that's all that matters.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man.
No?
Yeah. I always say, man, like when you get on stuff like this, man, this stuff is realistic. So you want to have people that come on, man, that's talking about factual stuff, especially giving out information, man, like to try to persuade others, man, talking about, man. But yeah, really, we can really do this, man. So anytime, I do appreciate that.
Man, I started with 6 months ago. I started with 3 subscribers. I started with 0. Actually, I started with 0 subscribers. You know what I mean? I've got a little slow growth. I'm at 37 now. You know what I mean? But it you know what I mean? Somebody must like watching the show, man.
Okay.
Everybody got a spot in podcasting. I don't care what color you are. You can be green. You can look like Team Wolf. You can be a podcaster. You know what I mean? Anything's possible in podcasting. You just got to put the work in.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Like I said, as long as you're passionate about what you're talking about, like, how many podcasts do we see where people say, "Oh, we're going to talk about what's topical in the news," and they have no idea what they're talking about. Like, as long as you're passionate about what you're talking about, people notice that, and that's what allows a podcast to grow.
Yeah.
So don't let people say, "Oh, you got to talk about this, you got to talk about that." No, you got to talk about what it is, what's real to you, because that's what people want, the real stories. They don't want contrived. They don't want contrived. They want the real stories.
Well, again,
as long as it's real to you, that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Again, I appreciate y'all coming on, man. You know what I mean? Y'all have a good day.
Absolutely. Hey, we probably won't see y'all, but if we do, if we don't see y'all, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, guys.
Yeah, have a good holidays, man. Good holiday, and no drinking and driving. You know what I mean? Have a safe one out there, and I'll get out with y'all later, man. You know what I mean? I gotta do some birthday errands, so it's time for me to go. All
There you
right.
go.
right.
Celebrate that birthday, kid.
All right, man.
All right,
Have a good one.
Peace and blessings, man.